step-by-step guide on setting up your cloud services. So for everyone, if you can just have a quick look at my screen over here. On the left-hand side, we have a typical StorageCraft environment, backing up your virtual machines, physical machines, desktops, SPS servers, whatever they may be. They are backed up to your backup and disaster recovery appliance, BDR appliance as we call it, whether that's a NAS, a Windows storage server, a SAN. You might have a spec'd out desktop with the options for providing disaster recovery on site. We're going to be mainly focusing on setting up this side of things, the cloud services. Step-by-step guide. A lot of this I will also, there's a little attachment handout on this webinar, which runs through a few of the things I'll talk about, but I can also send across later on more of a documentation on how this is all done. So as I mentioned, let's assume that you presented the StorageCraft Cloud services to your customer. They've happily accepted it. It's now time for you to actually put them on and essentially initiate the cloud services side of things. So let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing you'll do is you'll need access to the StorageCraft Partner Portal. For those of you who have access, simply log in partners.storagecraft.com. The Partner Portal was formerly known as the MSP Portal. So if you have access to the MSP Portal, it's exactly the same thing. If you don't have access, your company may already have access, so ask around or just drop us an email, give us a call after, and we can get you access. If your company is not part of the Partner Portal program or the Partner Program, you can get in contact with your distributor in Australia, Dicker Data or ACA Pacific, and in New Zealand, Soft Solutions, and they can sign you up as an MSP, give you access to the Partner Portal. So the first thing you'll see when you log in, if we go into Managed Service Provider and go into Cloud Services, this is a little demo account that we have set up. But essentially, the first time you log in, when you actually hit on Cloud Services, there'll be a pop-up to accept the agreement. So you just have to run through accepting the agreement. Once you're done, you'll be left with this screen. Obviously, none of these accounts or machines will be here. So the very first thing for yourself to do, log into here, accept the agreement, and hit Add Account. And it's pretty much fairly self-explanatory. Fill in the whole entire form. A couple of things for everyone to note if we run through this. Account name, that is your end user's name. So each end user of yours or each customer of yours will require a separate account. We don't want you to put up your reseller name and then add all of your clients under your particular name, because obviously that means if you create a VPN, which I'll show you later, every single machine of your clients will be joined up. So account name is your customer's name over here. And that, as you can see here on the left-hand side, will create a different account for each particular customer. So the next thing is the username and password. So this username and password will be used for two other things along with here. One, the first other thing is that when you're setting up the replication job, which I'll show you in a second, you require the username and password that you set up here to actually be able to attach up to this particular account. That means that machine will show up in this account over here. The second thing you can actually use the username and password for is a customer login. So fill that out. You'll notice with the new password, there's quite a lot of requirements for it: uppercase, lowercase, number, special symbol. Fill all that out. And then we get down to account permissions. So my account being the admin account and your account being the reseller account will have access to all of these. To give access to your customer through their username password, whichever box you tick will give them access to that. So if you do want them access to everything, tick everything. If you don't want them access to anything or even just to see, they possibly might want to just know that their machines are in the cloud portal, just tick access to cloud portal. Whether you provide them with access to this username or not, if you're providing a true managed services program to them, you don't really need to give them access to it, but just so you're aware this can all be done. So as I said, account permissions is directly relating to your end user logins that you create here. So a bit further down, retention level. So we have different retention levels and service levels. Service levels are basic, plus, and premium. Basic is just storing of your data in the StorageCraft Cloud. Cloud Plus is file and folder recovery. And Cloud Premium is what pretty much 95% of our resellers and machines in the cloud are in or on, is the ability to spin up all your servers, your entire infrastructure within the StorageCraft Cloud. So with these drop-down arrows is where you select which retention tier you actually want to put them on. The first number, second number, third number refer to days, weeks, and months that the backups are held in the StorageCraft Cloud. So for 3 days, 0 weeks, 0 months, 5 days, 2 weeks, 0 months, so on, and then a flex option that you can go down there. For this particular one, we'll just leave it as is. I'm not actually going to fill all this out or hit save, but you can select it here. You can also change it at a later date also. So if your customer decides they're on tier 3 and they want to go down to tier 1, you can't fix it through here, but you can change it somewhere else in the portal later on, which I'll show you. Fill out all the info and you simply hit save. And that's pretty much it for creating the actual account, which will show up. This is my machine here, which will show up with this case, Gavin Ng, username here. And this particular username I can actually use if I was the end user, log in to see just access to my particular account as opposed to seeing everyone else's account. So you've just created the login or the account, I should say. What is your next step? So your next step is to then set up through Image Manager, set up the replication job. As I mentioned previously in yesterday's webinar, the real requirement for your customer for their Shadow Protect backups is 2 things. They must be doing continuous incrementals, and backups must be encrypted or password protected. Whether you do 128-bit or 256 doesn't really matter. They just must be encrypted. And also for the continuous incrementals is that obviously for those customers of yours who are currently doing a full base image every week, if you do that, Shadow Protect will, or Image Manager, I should say, will then replicate a full image to the StorageCraft Cloud every week. For those of you with bandwidth issues, we obviously don't want that. So we want to be doing just continuous incrementals. Create your new folder, or if you already have Image Manager sitting on a machine managing a folder, you can utilize the same one. And we just have to hit create replication job. So I've already got one here, which I will show you in a bit. But let's hit on create replication job. Under type, select the StorageCraft Cloud Services from the dropdown. Location, and when we add new location, this is where we select, the username and password down the bottom here. The name is just the name of the replication job. So if I click on here, I've got one called Gavin Exchange Server. That's the name. Username and password are the username and password here and here, and that's how it connects up to that particular account. So the only real other thing to note, and just a little top tip for everyone here, security, change it to SSH, and byte size, change it to 4096. Why we do that? Why we change it to SSH? If we leave it at SSL, Telstra can tend to see this as a UDP storm when you're replicating, so they'll essentially drop out the connection. Set it to SSH. Why we set it to 4096 as opposed to the stock, which was 1600 and something, is because we want to see a smooth transfer rate when it's replicating to the StorageCraft Cloud, and we find 4096 is the best option. So SSH 4096, username, password, and simply hit save. It'll appear up over here. Backup password, obviously, is the backup password for your Shadow Protect backup. So it's a bit different from this password over in our account and what we've added in our add new location. This particular password is your backup image password through Shadow Protect. For this second tab, replication mode, So we have two different options here, and it's something that, once again, for yourself to talk to your customer about. Is we have two options: either replicating the images straight away, immediately. So as soon as an incremental, say we're doing backups every 50 minutes, as soon as that 50-minute backup is done, it's replicated straight away to the StorageCraft cloud, which means that if something does happen on site and your entire site goes down, you can roll back just 15 minutes. That's one option. For those clients who do a poorer internet connection, or even those who are happy to be down, a couple of hours, you can select the first option, which is wait for a consolidated backup image file to be created before replicating. And what that means is you're doing, say, for example, we're doing hourly backups, 9 to 5. That's 8 hours worth of backups. At the end of the day, when image manager processing time is, say, 12:05 a.m., when we consolidate those incrementals down to a single consolidated daily file, we will replicate that. So if you choose that, we'll replicate the consolidated daily backup image. If you choose this one, we'll replicate the incrementals or intra-daily backups. So that's just another discussion for you to have with your customers. If you do the incremental backups, it's an extra $10 per machine per month. If you do the consolidated daily backups, that's the cost included in the initial price. So that is setting up your replication job. Fairly easy. Just the only real pointer, changes to SSH, change this to 4096, and that's pretty much it. Once you set that up, your replication can start to the StorageCraft cloud. One other thing which I actually didn't really show there is that when we actually click on the create replication job and choose the StorageCraft cloud, there'll be another particular tab for the replication, which will give you the option to essentially seed your data or the initial base image on a seed drive. So that is an option, is that you don't have to send your base image, the largest image, and say the consolidated rolling monthly and monthlies and weeklies and dailies to the StorageCraft cloud. You can also request a StorageCraft seed drive. So if I actually continue with that option, you'll see that little thing pop up. For the StorageCraft drive or seed drive, once you create the account, you'll see a little seed/BMR tab here. And from here, we can request the seed drive. So fill out all the information once again. Drive selected. The stock drive is a 2 terabyte drive, which you can put multiple machines on. So you don't just have to put one machine per drive. You can put 3, 4, whatever fits. We do have a 2 terabyte drive. You can also request 4 terabytes and 6 terabyte drives. Also, fill all that out. StorageCraft will then ship you out the drive. You can chuck the base image plus whatever other images, rolling monthlies and whatnot, onto the drive, send it back to us so that you or the customer only has to upload those incrementals or consolidated daily images that are created, while we will upload the bulk of the data. So once you've sent your machine up there, what you'll see here, I only have actually a single machine, but we will then see a machine up in the StorageCraft cloud. So just a quick show of what will actually happen is, turn this on. I'll just open up Shadow Protect. I'm just going to quickly take just a backup of this machine. So let's right click, start backup now, incremental backup. So right now we are on number 66, but in a couple of seconds, wait for this backup to image, we'll see this. We'll see it replicated to the StorageCraft cloud. If I move this over here, so this is incremental number 67 we just took. If I go into Image Manager, last transfer was 66. We'll see in a few seconds is this kick away at incremental number 67. So this was, as I said here, 67. It'll be replicated in a tiny bit. You'll see queued files go up to 2. It'll then be replicated straight to over here. And that's pretty much easy. Actually already done by the time I just close that. As you can see, the last incremental received, number 67, 1118, image converted. So it goes through through a 2-step process, is that the cloud first has to receive the image, and then it converts it, so it uncompresses it to allow us to do the ultra-fast disaster recovery. Once that's done, that means your backup image is now in the StorageCraft cloud. So that whole process, I'm replicating the incrementals. That only took a couple of seconds. So the next critical thing for yourself to look at, and I'll cover off two quick things here. I'll quickly cover off the short one, which is account alerts. Fairly important. Set yourself up some account alerts. One I have here is uploading activity. So if we go into here and hit add alert type, we can choose these types of alerts that are actually sent to us. And, you know, I find upload inactivity is a fairly good one. Image Manager can also warn of it. The cloud can also warn of it. We're attacking it from two different ends. Is if nothing's uploaded to the StorageCraft cloud, essentially just drop us an email, send us an email to warn us that nothing has happened. So that's fairly easy. The next thing, which is, I've made the attachment here. So if you go into handouts, you'll see an attachment, is the advanced networking features of the StorageCraft cloud. And this is a very, very critical thing for everyone to understand. It's really what separates us, StorageCraft cloud, apart from everyone else. And that is our advanced networking features, along with the ability to spin up the servers. So I've got open here the Cloud Services User Guide. If we go down here, it's also in the Cloud Networking Overview. It goes into more detail in the attachment, which is the StorageCraft Cloud Services. Basic networking is the kind of main thing you want to look at. But let's just cover off the options here and what you can actually do with these networking features. So the most important and powerful part up here, our subnet configuration, also the VLAN. So by selecting modify assign subnet checkbox, and then we click on modify, I can select from any of the private IP address schemes. So whether you want to do 192.168, 10.0, 172, whatever it may be, we can select all of that through here. Just remember, for everyone, sitting at the end of the VLAN is actually a pfSense firewall for virtual appliances. It is DNS, DHCP, and gateway for this particular VLAN. So the critical part of all of this is here, DNS server list, which tells the pfSense firewall that it will issue the address specified as the DNS server IP for this VLAN. So this is, as many of you know, this is critical for Active Directory integrated DNS services. And this has to be done. So if I go modify again, sorry. This has to be done if you want your Active Directory to work as per design. So very critical for you to modify this for yourself. Once done, you can simply untick. If we scroll down a tiny bit, we can then see our public IP addresses. So based on this, all of this here, the default, sorry, we'll go to private IP, sorry. So public IP is where you actually select your public IP address to add into our VPN. But let's just go on private IP. If we double click on type, we have DHCP and DHCP reservation. So you want to specify a DHCP reservation, the IP address of the AD integrated DNS server for all your domain controller, so that when the pfSense firewall hands out IPs, all machines will know where to go for DNS, and that DNS will then respond. So after that, you then go into the public IP, assign a public IP so that the VPNs and port forwarding will work as you expected. So if we just scroll to the top here, VPN configuration, we do have IPsec for site to site. So if your building burns down, everyone moves to a different building, we can just create an IPsec tunnel to go straight to the StorageCraft cloud and the building. Alternatively, we also have OpenVPN. So if you have a couple of users and everyone goes home because the building's burnt down, each person gets a little configuration file. Using OpenVPN, we can then set them up to then be able to log in to their service sitting within the StorageCraft cloud services. So that really, with the networking, advanced networking, it's really important to stress for all of you that once you add your machines to the StorageCraft cloud, pre-configure all of the networking. We want all this set so that when the disaster hits, the last thing you want to, worry about is trying to fix all the networking, making sure everything connects up to the cloud services and whatnot. This can all be pre-configured and have a test of it. Whether you want to test once a quarter, once every 6 months, you can get, the execs to sit down in the room and 5, 6, 10 of the staff connect up to the StorageCraft cloud services, have a test, shut all the machines down. It's very critical for everyone here to understand to pre-configure all the networking so that when disaster hits, we can simply click this button, which is Launch VM, pick the recovery point, and hit Virtualize. So that's pretty much it for today's webinar. That is setting up the StorageCraft cloud services. So I won't virtualize the machine today. We do have another cloud services webinar which actually go into virtualizing the machines, but this was majority of how to actually set it up. So if you do have any questions right now, feel free to ask them. You can also give us a call, 02-8061-4444, or send us an email, sales@storagecraft.com.au. So any questions, feel free to ask them right now. I'll also recommend for you to get more of an idea of the networking features, download the handout that's attached. We also have the cloud networking overview, which is in the StorageCraft cloud user guide for you to actually go through. So thanks everyone for joining me here today. As I said, any questions, feel free to ask them right